Our planet is on the verge of yet another disaster. The Gulf Stream, a crucial ocean current system that regulates global weather patterns and temperature, is in danger of collapsing. But what exactly is the Gulf Stream and why is it so important? Join us as we explore this powerful current and learn about the potential consequence of its collapse. The Gulf Stream is a system of ocean currents that regulates global weather patterns and temperature. It originates in the Gulf of Mexico and flows up the eastern shores of the United States, up to Canada and across the Atlantic to northwestern Europe. The Gulf Stream is a component of the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, a network of oceanic currents that governs much of the planet's climate. Recently, researchers have noted that the Gulf Stream may be collapsing as a result of changing surface temperatures on the planet. This is a cause for concern, because the collapse of the Gulf Stream could have catastrophic effects due to its influence on global weather patterns and temperatures. But before we dive into the potential consequences of the Gulf Stream collapse, let's first understand what it is and why it's so important. The Gulf Stream is a dynamic current flow system, mostly driven by wind, that follows a pre-existing path that has remained unchanged for 1,000 years. It moves like an invisible conveyor belt, transporting warm sea currents to colder parts of the planet near the Arctic, and it is created by the concentration of heat from the sun in the Yucatan Channel between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, and it forms a large loop called a gyre in the Gulf of Mexico. When these currents reach North Europe and West Africa, they make a U-turn and return to the Gulf of Mexico, assisted by winds from the tropics. The Gulf Stream is one of the strongest in the world due to the combination of multiple ocean wind currents. This stream is the warmest, largest, and saltiest ocean current on Earth, and has an average temperature of about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It carries a tremendous volume of water, equivalent to 200 million times the volume of the Mississippi River, or 20 million times the volume of the Amazon. The Gulf Stream fills a channel that is about 2,000 feet deep and 90 miles wide, and moves at an average speed of about 8 miles per hour between Cuba and Florida. Because the water is moving at such high speeds, the sea surface experiences evaporative cooling, which becomes more intense as the warm water moves further north. This cooling process is critical for the distribution of temperature across the various regions through which the Gulf Stream flows. As water cools along its path, its density and salinity increase, resulting in salt separation when sea ice forms, a common Arctic process known as brine exclusion. These processes produce water that is colder and denser, to the point where it begins to sink through the less salty water and denser waters of the North Atlantic. It is more than just a current. It is a global powerhouse. According to research, this current is responsible for generating and sustaining powerful cyclones on the ocean surface, as well as sustaining powerful cyclonic systems as deep as 11,000 feet beneath the ocean's surface, and influences much of the underwater ecosystem. The Gulf Stream also plays a significant role in the global climate and weather patterns. Its moisture influences the weather in the eastern United States, making Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana some of the wettest states in the country. It also contributes to the high rainfall east of the Mississippi River and in parts of Canada. In Europe, the Gulf Stream helps to warm the continent, making it one of the mildest and most temperate regions in the world. Despite its importance and wide range of destructive and non-destructive influence, scientists have observed that the Gulf Stream's intensity and flows have significantly decreased over the last 50 years. The Gulf Stream's weakened state could have catastrophic consequences, some of which could be permanent, affecting much of the northern hemisphere. But the question is, what is causing this collapse? This change could be caused by a variety of factors, including rising global surface temperatures and human activities, all of which contribute to climate change. Rising temperatures can have a variety of effects on the Gulf Stream. Warmer temperatures, for example, can cause the ocean to expand, resulting in rising sea levels. As a result of the increased resistance from the coastline, the Gulf Stream slows down. In addition to that, Warmer temperatures also cause glaciers and ice caps to melt, allowing fresh water into the ocean and disrupting the salt concentration balance. This can change the density and the salinity of water, affecting the movement of the Gulf Stream. Human activities that contribute to climate change, such as the use of fossil fuels and deforestation, also contribute to the Gulf Stream's weakening. These activities emit greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, trapping heat and raising global surface temperatures. This warming can have a number of effects on the Gulf Stream, including increasing evaporation and causing the ocean to expand. The Gulf Stream has a large influence on global weather patterns and temperatures, and if it collapses, the consequences could be disastrous for many parts of the world. Rising sea levels along the Atlantic coast would be a major consequence of the Gulf Stream collapse. The Gulf Stream helps distribute heat and water around the world, and its absence could lead to increased flooding and other natural disasters along the coast. In addition to rising sea levels, the breakdown of the Gulf Stream may cause colder and more powerful storms to form in the northern hemisphere. The Gulf Stream regulates storm intensity in this region, and its collapse could lead to more extreme weather events. Disruptions to the Gulf Stream may also affect rainfall patterns, potentially causing changes in rainfall distribution in Africa, South America, and even India. This could have a serious impact on food production and even crop growth in these areas. This stream is also an important component of the global ocean circulation system, and its collapse could have serious consequences for marine ecosystems. It has the potential to change the distribution of nutrients and marine life, resulting in changes in the food chain and the extinction of certain species. However, there is no agreement among scientists on how to analyze and predict the future state of the Gulf Stream. Some scientists argue that the Gulf Stream will not completely collapse, but will only weaken to a point where it can be reversed by lowering carbon emissions and global surface temperatures. These scientists believe that by taking the right steps, climate change can be mitigated, and the Gulf Stream can be saved. On the other hand, some scientists disagree with this viewpoint. They argue that if the current rate of warming and carbon emissions continues, the Gulf Stream will collapse, regardless of what actions are taken. According to these same scientists, the Gulf Stream has already reached a tipping point, and its collapse is unavoidable. So what does this mean for the Gulf Stream's future? The truth is, nobody knows for sure. The Gulf Stream is a complex and dynamic system, with a number of variables that can affect its stability. While some scientists believe that its collapse can be avoided, others are a bit less optimistic. Whatever the outcome, it is clear that the Gulf Stream plays an important role in our planet's natural systems, and its stability is critical for humanity's well-being. The collapse of the Gulf Stream could have serious consequences for global weather patterns and temperatures, resulting in rising sea levels, colder and more powerful storms, disruptions in rainfall patterns, and changes in marine ecosystems. The Gulf Stream's future is uncertain, and more research is required to fully comprehend the mechanisms underlying its weakening and accurately predicting its future state. It is critical that we continue to study and monitor the Gulf Stream's stability, so that we can better understand the potential consequence of its collapse and take all necessary steps to mitigate them. The fate of the Gulf Stream will be determined by our collective action. We may be able to prevent the collapse and protect the well-being of our planet by reducing our carbon emissions and taking steps to reduce global warming. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and watch these ones as well.